I'm sorry, so sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. Oops, I'm sorry. So sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. Oops, I'm sorry. So sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. So sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Love Podcast, and I'm your host, Joy, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for real, unfiltered conversations about self-love, polyamory, spirituality, and beyond. As your host, my goal is to create a space where we can explore all aspects of our identity and learn how to build healthy and fulfilling relationships with ourselves and others. Let's dive deep and get raw as we celebrate the wonderful, messy parts of ourselves. This isn't your grandma's podcast. It's a safe space for anyone who's ever felt like they don't quite fit in, who's ever been told they're too much or not enough. Go grab a mimosa, relax, and let's embrace our truest selves together. So I am your host, Joy, and I am a certified life coach, and I specialize in self-love, polyamory, spirituality, and wellness. The reason why I decided to become a self-love coach is because I know I struggled with my whole life, right? And it was hard for me because I grew up in foster care. So I grew up feeling like no one really cared for me. No one really loved me. Everybody that I cared about eventually disappeared. I went through all these traumatic experiences that shaped me and made it very hard for me to come to a point where I cared about myself and loved myself, right? And I didn't really have many people around me telling me that I could be more than what I was, or my life could be better than what it was. Maybe they didn't even know that about their own lives. So I decided to become a life coach because I want to be that for people. I want to be that person pushing people and letting them know you have this. You got what it takes to be exactly who you want to be in life. Just to be that person that I needed. Honestly, I did this. It's kind of selfish. I did it for me, really. What started me on my self-love, spirituality, wellness journey the reason I decided to choose those as my specialties is because I feel like the time that I started to get into a really good place in my life is when I started focusing on those specific areas, and some others as well. But when I started to feel better about myself, and like when I started to tap into my higher power, that gave me all types of strength. As you take this journey with me, you'll see I've changed so much. It's so funny because even people who used to know me, they see me today and they're like, oh my God, you've grown so much. Yes, I have. I've grown so much. But that's because I started to focus more on being more in tune with myself and understanding who I was and who I am and why I made the decisions that I made in my life, and not feeling sorry and not regretting being who I am. That's when I started to be more comfortable. So I kind of wanted to go there and help people get through whatever struggles they're having in their life, and learning that your mistakes and your struggles don't define you. You can literally build whatever life you want to build, right? And then I decided to specialize in polyamory dating and relationships because I've been polyamorous for about 4 years now. I started in the journey like unknowingly, not that he snuck it up on me or anything. Like, I let him know that I was interested in polyamory, and he introduced me to someone, and we just kind of like fell into it. Not polyamory, but girls, and we just kind of fell into it. And then the more that I'm learning about polyamory, and the more that I'm in the polyamory dating scene, I'm realizing that there are so many people who, for one, don't know what polyamory is. I didn't know the word, before being introduced to it, but are interested in non-monogamous lifestyle, who also don't practice ethically, but not because they don't want to, but because they don't know there is a such thing as ethical polyamory. Just kind of wanting to educate people and assist people through the struggles that come with polyamory, because being monogamous is a struggle all in its own, but dating in polyamory is a struggle. Being in a polyamorous relationship is a struggle. So I kind of want to assist people through that. That's my goal. I've been in and out of some crazy tumultuous relationships. We'll get deeper into those. I want to go into these stories, but this is just an introduction. What is the Unapologetic Love Podcast? This is literally a space where we can kick back, relax, and have some real unfiltered conversations about things that make us unique. I want us to celebrate who we are and not just the parts of us that society deems normal or acceptable. So we're going to be diving deep into our journeys and exploring the messy, complicated, and beautiful parts of ourselves, all parts of ourselves. Because if we don't celebrate every single part of ourselves, then what are we celebrating, right? It's not always going to be easy, but we'll get there each day, every step of the way. We'll share our experiences, insights, and advice to help each other grow and thrive. Together, we'll celebrate our truest selves and build healthy and fulfilling relationships with ourselves and others. The Unapologetic Love Podcast is for anyone who's ever felt like they don't quite fit in. And when I mean like they don't quite fit in, is like people are always trying to change you and change certain parts of yourself. But it's teaching us how, I want to be that guy to teach you to love yourself, every part of yourself, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty about being exactly who you are. We understand that it can be tough to navigate life and relationships when we don't feel like you belong, or when you're consistently being told to change who you are. Whether you're exploring your identity, practicing self-love, or exploring non-traditional relationships like polyamory, this podcast is for you. We believe that everyone deserves to be loved, accepted, and celebrated for who they are. And we want to create a community where we can all support each other on our own journeys. So if you're looking for a safe space and welcoming space to explore your true self and connect with like-minded individuals, this podcast is for you. Listeners can expect future episodes of the Unapologetic Love Podcast to be just as real, unfiltered, and empowering as this introductory episode. We'll bring in guests who will share their own stories and insights on self-love, polyamory, spirituality, and more. We'll dive deeper into specific topics and explore different aspects of our identity, such as sexuality, growing up Black in America, just growing up Black in general, mental health, and more. We can expect us to tackle difficult and often taboo topics with sensitivity. We'll also provide practical tips, advice, and resources for those who are seeking to cultivate a stronger relationship with themselves and others. In short, you can expect a space that celebrates all the wonderfully messy parts of ourselves and provides tools and inspiration to help us live our best lives. We want to emphasize the importance of self-love and being unapologetically ourselves. It's easy to get caught up in the expectations and judgments of others, but I believe that true happiness and fulfillment can only come from accepting and loving ourselves for who we are. It's okay to be messy, imperfect, and flawed. That's what makes us human. We want to remind our listeners that they are worthy of love and respect just as they are. By embracing our true selves and building healthy and fulfilling relationships with ourselves and others, we can live a life that is truly authentic and meaningful. So let's take the journey towards unapologetic love together and celebrate all of the wonderful, messy parts of ourselves along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Unapologetic Love Podcast. Remember, growth is a journey and it's not always easy, but every moment of self-discovery, every triumph, and every setback is worth it in the end. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share with anyone who may benefit from these conversations. And as always, stay unapologetically you.